Hi, I'm Peter Haddock and I'm here with Dan Leaney. And Dan, we're at MachineMax HQ in London Bridge, and today we're recording a podcast for their channel. And one of the things that really excited me was when I was invited to do this, that they said the first person I'm going to talk to is Dan, because Dan, what we've really been talking about for a long time is obviously with X-Watch is safety. But MachineMax itself as a business is obviously operating across the industry like yourselves, and basically safety was their number one priority to start off their podcast series. So Dan, for the people that are listening, please explain what X-Watch is and where it's come from and what you actually do as an organisation.
Yeah, thank you, Peter, and thank you, MachineMax, for inviting me down here to talk about it. In the core, what X-Watch does is we provide a barrier around an excavator for safe working. So we do a height restriction, slew restriction, or a rated capacity, or SLI, depending on part of the world you talk about it, which essentially we stop the excavator falling over on maximum lift. We brought the product to the market 3.5 years ago, and we've had massive success, and we've grown globally. Here today with MachineMax, they came to us a few months ago and they saw the vision of bringing safety into their platform, and we're discussing the future and moving forward with them on that.
Well, what's really exciting about that is, for me, we have a lot of data in this industry. We have a lot of things happening around the machine. We have the fuel burn, we have 3D machine control, we have what we call cab clutter, in the sense that so many things have come into the cab to make it safer or more efficient and things like that for the operator. But fundamentally, it's all about the operator in the cab feeling comfortable, making sure that they're doing the job right, and fundamentally looking outside of the window at the work site and the job site, isn't it? And that's what you've been trying to do in the way which you work. You've developed the system, but yes, collaboration, as we've alluded to, is a big part of that. And I've reported recently about your collaboration with Leica GeoSystems, fundamentally to put systems together in one place to reduce that cab clutter and support the operator. Tell me a bit about how the business has moved forward and the types of things you're able to do now with both data but also with the operator in mind.
You're absolutely right. The operators are paid to look out the window and dig the holes or whatever they need to do. And what we've tried to do is we were asked by Leica GeoSystems to be able to connect, because they saw the future of the 3D machine control and the PA80 and the PA10, and we have the control of the hydraulics to produce this creep control slow down value with our proportional solutions. With that, we can also feed in AI camera systems, as I've spoken about, tag detection systems, or even just a remote stop or remote slowdown switch. It's all about keeping the operator in control. And with that control becomes the visibility, and with the guys at MachineMax, remotely you can see everything live of what our safety system is producing. So if the operator is working next to the side of the highway, you can confirm that his slew system is on and it is reporting. So that ties in greatly with what we're doing with the OEMs, what we're doing with 3D machine control suppliers like Leica, and also with MachineMax and other telematics companies.
What's really interesting though, Dan, is the way in which you've approached this sort of journey towards different safety solutions. You mentioned a lot of them there. Let's delve down a little bit deeper for the listener. It's really helping them understand what we're talking about. So fundamentally, the X-Watch system has sensors and cameras that it uses around a machine. They're connected into the actual machine itself and through the canvas. Is that correct?
Not quite. We have our system is on a separate canvas.
Right.
A true safety system is run on its own canvas lines and its own power circuit taken from the machine. So we don't actually interfere with any operating values on the equipment itself. We're all separate. But we create a hub that other third-party camera systems or tag systems or 3D machine control or anything can feed into ours, And then we recognise it through the canvas signal and a heartbeat. So we recognise what's been connected and what hasn't, and then can react appropriately to the signals of the third-party solution. So we're the core of everything. Initial design when we started Xwatch, that we had to be able to be the master of what we did, which is the safety solutions, but be able to open the gateway to other specialist companies to feed with. So together you're stronger, and you're providing that solution to the end user, to the OEMs, or to any other collaborations that come knocking on the door.
And what's really interesting about that is you're taking this sort of different approach, and I think fundamentally this sort of open source world that we're living in, this app-based world that we're living in, these APIs that people are talking about, all these, fundamentally it's just interfaces. It's just something that plugs into something else and works and recognises it. We're sat here in a room at the moment where we've got sensors like this one. If you're listening to this, folks, it's a sensor that is magnetic that MachineMax use, and that plugs in straight away to the machines that fundamentally allow them to take data from those machines. But the real element to Xwatch is really focusing on how do different safety incidents happen and what is the reaction to those incidents. So, for example, if somebody creeps into a zone and you automatically shut everything off and loads of alarms go off and all the rest of it, you know, that's something that's kind of happened in the past, but you can't work a job site like that. And you can't work a job site if something blows past a machine or a camera that they think is potentially a person, and everything happens like that. So talk us through the way in which we're on a practical site. I'm going to give you a scenario. We're in an excavator that has got 3D machine control, and we are working on a tight site within the City of London. Somebody comes into the space. What happens? How does that work within that context?
Depending on whether the system has been connected to an AI camera system or a tag RFID or microwave system, what happens is we slow the machine down. We believe that if you stop the machine dead, you're putting the operator and anyone around the machine into a very dangerous position, because you don't know if they're lifting out of a culvert, they don't know if they're digging or they're loading or whatever, because if someone comes from behind the machine, the operator obviously cannot see them. So we slow the machine down into creep control, which is we can set up to any user speed is required. The idea is the operator still has the same power, still has the same control, but really, really slow. The way I like to describe it is a limp mode in your car. You can still drive home, but you get there slowly. So as the operator feels that, he can then visually see, because he will see it, the machine slow down, he can visually respond to there's a problem. And again, depending on what system we've connected to, we either, as the person or object comes closer, we can then go from slow to stop. So the operator again knows it's coming, but obviously cannot stop it. We also have soft overrides and all these different things that the operator can facilitate within the Xwatch system. Again, all goes through a tracking system and is data logged and visible. So you can literally look back and say, on Tuesday afternoon at 2 o'clock, you can see that the machine slowed down and then stopped, because then you can see what happened within that incident.
Fantastic. So what I kind of like is the way in which we've now got wearables. And you're talking about these tags and things like that. Fundamentally, they're wearable devices. So I've seen one with Leica that's a personal alert device that's linked into their system that integrates with you. It vibrates and it's got an audible message as well that it's clipped to the end user. It flashes with lights as well. So all of these senses are aware of the fact that they're into danger, and that fundamentally helps the individual recognize that there's danger. And then obviously we've got the sort of universal thumbs up, get out the way and things like that. And what we're also looking at is how people actually approach working equipment, because again, there's ways in which you should do that. so that you become visible. What are those sort of hints and tips about how you should approach an operating vehicle when you need to alert the operator?
Well, obviously, to get the driver's attention, you need to come from the front of the machine, but not the blind spot directly in front of the boom.
Yeah.
You need to keep outside of the radius or the working area and just stand there and wait for the driver to give you his attention and the nod, and him shut down and slow down the machine, and gives you the visible signals to walk towards the machine to do it. Approaching from the side or the rear, that's a big no-no.
Yeah.
For me, that's pure common sense. So always look for the paths to get to the excavators and walk towards the driver once he's seen you, approved you to walk towards him, and it's in a controlled, safe environment.
And that control of the machine is really important, because the operations of an operator that has seen you, they should be making that bucket safe, should be grounding that bucket, and also should be making sure that they are giving you a signal that they've seen you. Safety, we all know, is a cost to any business to put safety systems in. But I believe, and everybody else in the industry I talk to, believes that everybody should go home safe at the end of every shift, and nobody should be injured in this industry. What happens when you get a lot of signals coming in from a work site, Dan? Because obviously, when you're getting a lot of alerts and things like that, safety and the procedures you've just talked about aren't being adhered to. How do we use that information in a proactive way to manage that?
If you have a wearable, that wearable can be assigned to a human being or a machine. And if you've got the same wearable given the same alert, same time, that comes down to training.
Yeah.
You can highlight that individual or that vehicle, depending on whether it's a wearable or vehicle mounted. It keeps putting themselves in the same situation. That can be monitored. And also, with the remote data connection, that can be reacted to very, very quickly, which is very important, because it's no point going back to somebody or something 2 or 3 weeks later and said, on this date you did this. It needs to be reacted to very, very quickly. It all comes down to the site training, the PPE that's required, the site operating systems, etc., systems of work, But obviously, with the visibility, you can get reoccurring offenders, and then you can retrain them or take appropriate action, because you're absolutely right. Everyone deserves the ability to go home to their families at the end of the day.
And I believe that being an operator in a machine is a very stressful environment, because you are fundamentally operating something that's got a lot of power and a lot of damage that can do to an individual. We've all seen the horror stories and things like that. And that's why it's important, I think, that we've got that sort of data, we've got that time, we can assess how that site is working and use that information both in real time to make decisions and say, like, this site, stop, everybody stop, got alerts coming in, left, right and centre, we need to stop work right now,
Absolutely.
and reassess what's going on, and then learn from that experience. And again, when you're storing that data and sharing it, as you're going to be doing in the future with MachineMax, to people on a sort of global scale, that's really important. The other thing I wanted to talk about is, technology, it keeps moving forward, doesn't it? The cameras keep getting better, wearables keep getting more exciting. But there's also something that you've done that's quite exciting recently that you launched, which is the curtain. And the curtain, folks, it's not something that you draw across to the side of an excavator, but actually it is. And, talk to us about the things that are happening and the other solutions that are coming out.
Absolutely. At the last show where we met was at FutureWorks. We did a bit of an unveiling of a project that is coming to fruition, which is our laser curtain. It's an invisible curtain. We can set it up to 4 meters high, and it can run 200 to 300 meters. It's designed, if you think the best way of doing it, it's a switch. Somebody walks through that, we can then react to any machine that's connected to us wirelessly. We can either slow them down or stop them. This can be used as a gateway for vehicles coming in and out, or again, creating a box around your bucket so the quick hitches only operate within a certain zone, or down to, we can run it alongside of a highway, a rail line, footpath. It is the last warning, if you like, that there's a problem there. The other things that Xwatch is doing is we're looking at some sort of integration into 3D machine control platforms to give you virtual wall elements on the 3D design model. We're looking at automatic dig guidance, working again with 3D machine control manufacturers. These are things that won't be here today or tomorrow, but it's something that we're looking at in the future. And obviously we're launching our on-track rail system this year, which will be completely unique, that's never been seen before globally. It's a one-shot platform that will be available globally and be approved globally to work on any train line anywhere in the world. And the way we've looked at that, we've looked at the technology that's available but turned it into an Xwatch solution. So we haven't taken what's been available in the past, we've re-looked at it, redesigned it and prepared it for the future.
And this is really fundamentally how we can work with safety, by moving forward all the time, using the resources that are available to us. I really like the curtain idea for a number of different reasons, and for the reasons that I'm going to state now, it is super important that we have this continued development. For example, we do a lot of work now, particularly, well, again, I'll say we're in the City of London. Particularly in London, you've got a lot of people, a lot of pedestrians, you've got scooters now spinning around, you've got bikes everywhere, you've got cars everywhere, and you've still got to maintain the infrastructure. So having this ability to put a laser curtain all the way round a particular job site that might be in a central position really fundamentally is going to be a massive benefit, so that we can't slew too far to the left or the right, we can't move too far behind the curtain or in front of the curtain. And when that inevitable happens, that someone speeds around the corner, swerves out to miss a pedestrian straight towards you, we can shut down that machine. And those are really real world applications.
Absolutely.
And this is what we're trying to do when it comes to safety. Think about the other things around the machine that we can't control and try and put some control in place, isn't it?
No, absolutely. You've highlighted all the good stuff, but the other stuff is it has to be easy for the operators to use, set up, and again, connected via telematics boxes to products like the MachineMax. It's got to be visible.
Yeah.
So you can see when someone's entered, and if the same brake is on the same curtain every single time, there is a bigger problem there. And that's what we're trying to bring to the market, is visibility, data that's never ever been provided before, and usability. Because you can have the greatest system in the world, but if the operators can't use it in the cab, or the system can't be set up, or it can't be monitored easily, really what's the point?
Yep.
Because you're just going to waste time, get frustrated and confused. And that's the beauty of what we're doing with companies like MachineMax. Their platform is very easy to use, very simple. So is ours. The world is complicated enough.
Yeah, you've got to keep it simple and you've got to keep it accessible, because literally that's why people use things like smartphones, because
Absolutely.
You can find the app, you can do things, you can set things up, you can just turn things on and off, you can set your parameters. People understand how to use this sort of technology. Don't reinvent the wheel, integrate into that wheel that people understand. And if a system is easy to use, if there are benefits proven to the user and not just the outside of the user environment, then that user will engage with it. And it comes down again to training, and it comes down to awareness. And I think that's another part of the work that you do, is supporting the training that goes into the uses of these systems to make them simple and to make them switch-onable.
Absolutely. Yeah, the drivers, go back into them, and they have a very hard job. The level of the drivers have to be technology savvy. But with ours, if the setting of the safety system is hard, they just won't use it.
Yep.
So we make it as very easy to think, 4 button presses. I mean, we've all seen our systems. So then we hope that they can use it. If they don't use it, then we can prove they're not using it, and the locations and the settings. So it's always we're not there to catch the operators out. We're actually there protecting the operators. You're in the right place, you set your slew limits or your height limits, and then one of your site agents comes up and says, can you just lift that really heavy concrete block off that lorry? And you can go there and you try and lift it, the RCI cuts in. As soon as they put a chain on the front, an excavator changes to a crane. So you're now under lifting regulations. With our RCI system, if the machine cannot lift it, it can't be just turned off.
Yeah.
Go on, mate, lift that off.
Yeah.
We're protecting the operator because the onus on the safety is down to the operator into the machine. So the operator is at the centre of our world, and the people around the machine is down there as well.
The operator is the brains in the machine, of course, and for me, I think it's great to see safety supporting an operator, but also it's great to see this whole data integration where we're looking at safety first, sharing that information so we can all learn how to have a safer, better working environment. Everybody goes home safe at the end of the day, folks, and it's another great innovation that comes into the plant sector, for the plant sector, and helps us work better as well, helps us achieve more productivity and efficiency, all whilst keeping people safe. Dan, great to see you again.
No problem.
And well, no doubt we'll speak soon.
Absolutely. Thank you, Peter.
Cheers.